Too many of us are walking through life with our eyes shut. We need to live with our eyes wide open. We will all face questions in our life. It's going to happen. And many times the problem is it freezes us and we're scared of some of those questions. We look at them as obstacles. See, I don't believe that. I believe questions that come up in our life are meant to be springboards to take us into deeper knowledge and understanding and experience of real truth. One of the biggest questions people have is the question of the beginning of life, the beginning of our universe. And this is a question that has been around for centuries, and very brilliant people have asked that and tried to find out what the deal is. There's two theories that are really popular, and many of them you've read in some of your textbooks or as you've learned of biology and astronomy. There's a theory of evolution that Charles Darwin came up with a long time ago. It's all about natural selection and chance with big time limits. And then there's a second theory that's very popular now in science, and it's called the theory of intelligent design. Now this is what it sounds like, that as we look at the complexity of life and the more that we're able to see and understand, that science is beginning to prove that there is an intelligent designer behind it all. Now what's really important is what you believe. I believe this question affects everything in your life. I really do. You look around at this beautiful house, and if you ran across this house and we were walking in the middle of nowhere in some forest far, far away, and we run across this house the way it is right now, what would you say it came from? Chance? Do you believe that somehow chance and a bunch of time put it all together? Or would you think that someone created and built this house? Darwin couldn't see all the specific details of the cell because it was so small. In 1872, they had no way of looking. But now we can see even the smallest elements of life. There's a thing called the cilia. And it's just looks like a little hair. There's like 200 of them in a cell, which is one of the smallest forms of life. Well, this hair, now that we can actually see it with these powerful microscopes, we can see that it is very, very complex micro machine. In fact, there's certain parts. It has a motor, it has some rods, it has like 200 proteins that make everything work together. And what's been proven is if you take one of those important things away from the cilia, it will no longer work. The cilia becomes the one thing that Darwin said would prove the theory of evolution wrong. It could not have possibly gradually evolved. Just like the structure of a house, the plumbing, the electricity, the main frame that holds the house together, the thing that holds the roof, all of these things together make up a house. Without them, it's no longer a house. What if you walked up on these designs and architectural drawings for this house that we just saw? Would you think, man, this just came about by chance? Or would you think, obviously, somebody drew these out? Did you know that inside of each one of you, there's a thing called DNA? I'm sure you've heard about it in your schools, but here's what's incredible about this little piece of life. See, DNA is in every one of your cells. There's like 6 foot of DNA in every cell in your body, and you have 100 trillion of these cells in your body. What's amazing about it is DNA has information. Now that might sound simple, but information comes from somebody that puts it down. When you look at an architectural design and you see it drawn out, no matter how simple it is, we know someone drew that out. Well, DNA is the actual information for your build. It's like the architectural designs to you and to all of life. Okay, so we've seen the different elements of the house and the details, and we've seen the building plans, and we see design all in it. And it's obvious, but many times it's because we take it for granted. Now we look at this finished house, and there's some amazing things if we really look around. For instance, the ceiling fan, as simple as it might seem, is perfectly balanced and cut so it can spin and not wobble around everywhere. There's the perfect amount of power for the light and for the fan to run. Outlets throughout the house that are perfectly placed and the right side up and they're straight and have the right power to run. We've got an air conditioner that it's just the right size for this house. There's a bathroom that actually has a toilet, a sink, and a shower. And not only that, but there's water that's run to each one of those areas. It seems simple, but someone had to think this through. And just like this house, the universe and the earth that we live in and where it's placed is perfect for life. Like oxygen in our atmosphere is just the right amount for life to happen. Even the orbit of the earth and all the planets are in a circular motion, which is very unique and exactly what is needed for life to happen. Our place in the solar system is perfect. Our distance away from our sun is perfect. And if it was off just 5%, there would be no life. The sun that we orbit around is the perfect sun with the right composition, the right size, the right distance. Our tilt of the earth and the spin of the earth, the moon that helps us stay there is the right distance away and the right size. Our solar system is in the perfect position in our galaxy. And not only that, but it's in the right galaxy for life. All these little fine details that maybe you don't see are happening all the time that are perfect for life. So here's the question. You have all the details of design, some amazing things that we can see and that we can understand as we dive in, but we didn't need all the details of the design to know that that house was designed. But here's the powerful thing. When we know the details of the design, then we can begin to understand the purpose and the reason the designer designed it. Nehemiah 9:6, "You alone are the Lord. You made the skies and the heavens and all the stars. You made the earth and the seas and everything in them. You preserve and give life to everything, and all the angels of heaven worship you." What if the earth and all these fantastic things that we see were meant to point you to the glory of the designer? Psalms 19:1, "The heavens are telling of the glory of God, and their expanse is declaring the works of His hands." What if this creation was actually meant to show you the power and the worthiness of this designer? Revelations 4:11, "Worthy are you, our Lord and our God, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and because of your will, they existed and were created." Think about it. What if all this that we honestly take for granted was meant to point you to personal knowledge of a powerful Creator? Romans 1:20, "From the time the world was created, people have seen the earth and sky and all that God has made. They can clearly see His invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature, so they have no excuse whatsoever for not knowing God." See, I believe that all of this, it was meant to point us to a powerful and a very personal God, so that we could not just find truth, but we could know truth, and truth could change our lives. Jesus said, I'm the way, I am the truth, and I am the life. And nobody comes to the Father, comes to that powerful, perfect, worthy Creator, except through me. And in John 1, 2 through 4, we see that not only is Jesus God, but Jesus was there in the beginning. And it was through Him that everything was created. And in verse 4, He says, life itself was in Him, and this life gives light to everyone. It gives light to you. Do you see it? This amazing thing that we stare at all the time was meant to point you. It was all for a purpose. It was all for a plan, for the glory of God. But listen, don't take my word for it. Open your eyes.